Hey y'all, how y'all doing? Mm. Mm. Could do that. Hmm. Okay, bet. So, so that will be this one. Got you. Okay. Why she got? Hello.
As the gunman. Now, this theory was seemingly confirmed by one witness statement to the police, claiming to have identified Sess as being the driver in the Welch hit. Even Tay himself would later talk about these events during one of his interrogations with Chicago police, saying to the cops outright that Sess being the driver on the Welch hit was indeed one of the theories. But Tay was not present for the shooting of his best friend, as he would still be stuck in hospital, clueless that his friend Welch had lost his life. And this would be reflected in social media posts between the friends of Tay and Welch a few days after Welch's death, where they would discuss whether or not to even tell Tay about the tragic news of Welch's murder, with one of the friends urging the friend visiting Tay to tell the man the truth, while another urges to keep telling him that Welch is at her place, saying that Tay can't handle losing Welch at this tough moment. In his Say Cheese interview, Tay would recall the events, saying that it was eventually Welch's uncle who would break the tragic news to him.
Now, I seen in the other interview you said that they didn't tell you until like days later.
Yeah.
You were still in the hospital when they told you?
Yeah. I was in the hospital and critical. So they ain't want to just, you know what I'm saying? Tell me, so yeah. They waited until I got a little better than they told me.
And who told you?
Like Welch's uncle. Welch's uncle told, like, he the one who broke the news, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. He told.
Soon after Welch's death, other members of So Icy and friends of Welch would also begin to comment on his death on social media, some saying RIP and others vowing to get revenge and pledging to kill the whole project belonging to those who were responsible. 2 years later, describing Welch World as America's worst nightmare. They would also make numerous photo tributes to him, and even posted a tribute video to Welch on YouTube, which has since been deleted. A female friend of Welch and Tay would post several messages in the days following Welch's death, saying how she needs Tay to come back home because Welch is not there anymore to look after her for him, and saying how she and Tay's other friends would hold him down through this heavy loss, calling him the realest guy that she has ever met, and saying how she prays others wouldn't have to live through such a loss, and being grateful that Tay had survived his shooting. She would also say that she was talking with Tay on the phone daily, and they were crying and praying together every morning. A friend of Welch would also plead on social media, asking for all of the sets in the low end to come together and stop killing each other, as well as saying how Chicago had changed for the worse since the projects were torn down. About a week after Welch's death, on the 22nd of May, his funeral was held, and he was buried with a gravestone that included a picture of the Washington Nationals cap with the large W logo, which Welch was known to wear, and which in the following years would come to define his set. The name of this set would seemingly change almost immediately following Welch's death, with Welch World practically replacing the existing name So Icy by the end of May 2010, as members would agree that they were now known as Welch World. In June, one member would post on his social media telling Tay to get in contact with him and insinuating that Tay was going through a lot due to Welch's death. But it's unclear if Tay was still in the hospital at this time. At some point though, Tay would get out, and according to himself, he was furious about the death of his best friend.
And what was that? I mean, was you angry? What was that feeling like?
Yeah, I was angry. Angry. Furious.
And you and Welch were like best friends?
Yeah.
Tay would later explain how this loss triggered something in him, turning him into a true savage.
Like, really, after Welch died, bro, that's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, trigger something in the
Tay would later respond to comments from 16 Shot 'em that during this time he had the low end walking on eggshells and became a one-man army.
I seen somebody make a post basically saying like, this the man who had the almost like had the low end walking on eggshells, and he calls like a one-man army.
The murder of Welch would seemingly become a defining moment in Tay's life, and after this is when he would really begin to earn his nickname, the Bully.
You see, I think I really turned my bully up for real. I always was like, you feel me, like doing my thing, but I really turned my bully up probably like Welch died. So I really turned my bully up.
It would take less than a year for revenge to play out, but once he had recovered from the shooting, Tay Savage would return to the streets of Welch World, ready to show the whole city exactly why they would call him Trigger Happy Tay. After the murder of his close friend Welch, Tay's gang became Welch World, and Trigger Happy Tay would get out of hospital and onto the warpath with hopes of avenging his fallen brother. He would eventually heal from his shooting, getting out of the hospital and back onto the streets of Chicago in 2010, and he would be seen on his block, surrounded by goons, who referred to him as a Welch World shooter in this throwback hood vlog.
Man, we gonna hold this bitch down. Shooters right here. Ain't nothing but shooting. It's trash.
Hey, look. My advice is, man, at the end of the night, try not to be guy, man. We out here. The police there with no body. Real crazy. I got tapped. We in this bitch. Real crazy. We in this bitch.
You think we swing?
The whole low man, we trying to take
Got
over the
shooters
whole
on the
side, man.
rooftop. All on the rooftop.
Look out.
With cyber attacks on the rise, protecting your data security is more important than ever. So why is Congress considering legislation that puts you at greater risk of being hacked and exposed to foreign networks? The Durbin-Marshall bill shifts billions in consumer spending to less secure payment networks, all so that big box retailers like Walmart, Target, and Home Depot can make bigger profits. Don't let Durbin-Marshall steal your data. Visit handsoffmyrewards.com/security and tell your senators to oppose Durbin-Marshall.
World's first headphones engineered for heavy metal music. They have 8 drivers with patented placements, 5 microphones, 50-hour battery life. Soft and replaceable ear cups plus help blocker noise cancellation.
Later, in November of 2010, Tay would be back out on the streets, and on the 11th of November, he would be stopped by the police while driving with his friends on the far south side of Chicago. As Tay was asked to get out of the front passenger seat, he would try and flee, and during a scuffle with the police, a handgun would fall from his waist. Tay would continue resisting the arrest, hitting an officer in the eye, but he was eventually taken down. Now, this encounter would actually come up later, once Tay's music career began to blow up, as some Redditors and YouTubers began accusing Tay of snitching after he had allegedly tried to pin the gun on the driver of the car, saying that the driver of the car had handed the gun to him, with intense debate persisting over whether or not this alleged statement amounted to full-blown snitching. Tay himself would even recall this event during his No Jumper interview, but not mentioning any statements.
What actually went down in the situation where you got caught with it?
So, man, my cousin had called me. You feel me? He like, man, he got into us out the pound. So I'm like, all right. They come grab me. Long story short, we go over there, we talk it out, because it was some guys from his block, so they talk it out or whatever, but when we leave, now bro forgot to cut the lights on of the car, so the police pulled us over. So when they pulled us over, so I'm telling them like, man, take off, you know, but he didn't really want to take off, but boom, so when they pull us over, they ask for lights and all that, so they tell us get out. So they tell us get out, I try to take off, you know what I'm saying? They grab me, slam me, all that, you know, I'm still trying to get away, but it was over with. They locked us up. They locked me up. They looked at my address, but I had like a weird address, so they wouldn't need my address. Cause now I'm waiting. Now I'm like, man, what's going on? So, cause usually it'd be like the next day you would go to the county jail. So now I'm waiting. The officer raiding your house. I'm raiding my house for what?
While the full facts of this case remain unclear, what it does tell us is that Tay and his friends were riding around Chicago, armed and up to no good. And as 2011 rolled around, Tay would again become entangled with the law, next time much more seriously. In the early morning hours of Saturday the 5th of February 2011, Cess and her sister were out partying with some friends on the south side of Chicago. They had just left a party in the Auburn Gresham neighborhood and were headed to another party on South Shore. But what they probably didn't know was that Gresham was Tay's old stomping grounds that he still frequented. And according to police paperwork, Tay was allegedly riding around with his friend that night when he spotted Cess in her car and decided to follow her. Cess's group arrived at the location of the second party around 2 a.m. and after looking for a parking spot, they eventually parked across the street from Windsor Nursing Home. At around 2:05 a.m., Cess got out of the car ahead of her friends as she apparently had to use the restroom. But as she stepped onto the street, Tay allegedly appeared from behind her friends, running in front of her holding a handgun. Before Cess even had time to react to what was happening, Tay allegedly shot her twice. And according to police paperwork, once she was already laying on the ground, Tay would allegedly stand over her, saying, "I told you, bitch," as he shot her several more times, leaving Cess bleeding out on the street as he next aimed the gun towards her sister and friends who were fleeing the scene in the car. Tay then allegedly shot at the car, before fleeing himself on foot. Sess's sister and friends, who had fortunately escaped the scene unscathed, circled the block and then returned to help a wounded Sess, who was then taken to hospital by ambulance. But unfortunately, her injuries were devastating, and at 5:15 a.m., Sess would be pronounced dead, and her murder would be reported the following day by local news, who notified the public that there had been no arrests made so far. However, what we now know is that since the first incident report, Tay would be named as the main suspect. And in the days to come, following the murder of Sess, the police would seemingly find more information about Tay, making him a wanted man. However, for the time being, the cops seemingly didn't have enough evidence to bring charges, and Tay would remain free. Meanwhile, Sess would be laid to rest, and her friends would be left to grieve, leading them to give their hood a new name, Sessworld. As far as police were concerned, Tay Savage was the prime suspect in the murder, and as far as the streets were concerned, Tay Savage had taken the first step towards avenging the murder of his friend Welch, with the fact that Tay was believed to be responsible for this brazen assassination circulating widely, with numerous people mentioning in interviews they believed Tay to be the killer of Sess, the mother of rapper Blazing Doll.
The situation with him allegedly killing Blazing Doll mama, I know he killed that girl mama. He shot at me. It hit different.
Tay's reputation as a trigger-happy bully was already cemented in the streets of Welchworld, but after the murder of Sess, all eyes were on him. However, what would happen months later would end up making Tay Savage one of the most revered gangsters in Chicago history. Just over 2 months after Sess was murdered, on Sunday the 10th of April, at around 4:30 p.m., her friend she was rumored to have killed Welch with, Neef, real name Christopher Daniels, was driving his car on the 7400 block of South Vincennes Avenue when he stopped at a traffic light. While he was stopped, a man would exit another vehicle in front of Neef before beginning to fire into the car. According to reports by Chicago police, the shooter was Tay Savage. Neef would then attempt to escape the situation by putting his car in reverse, but this would cause him to crash into another vehicle. Meanwhile, Tay would allegedly keep shooting into the car, hitting Neef several times, and then fleeing the scene with his getaway driver before the police and paramedics arrived. Unfortunately, Neef was already in serious condition and would be pronounced dead in the hospital soon after. This was the second shooting on the same block within 2 weeks, and one of over a dozen shootings that took place in Chicago over that weekend, leaving some of the locals afraid to leave their homes and fearful of what was to come next, while the police were likely already connecting the dots behind the scenes with regards to the killing of Neef. For the time being, there was once again no arrests, despite the shooting taking place in front of numerous witnesses, but both the driver and the shooter on the hit were both wearing ski masks that covered their faces. Again, members of the AV and other friends of Neef would react to his death on their social media, seemingly unable to believe that Neef had been taken out so soon after the killing of Sess. Known for riding together and now known for dying together, the loss of Sess and Neef, so close to each other, cemented these two as legends in their hood. And as Neef was laid to rest, the AV adopted the moniker CWNS, meaning Sessworld, Neef Streets. Meanwhile, after Neef's death, members of Welchworld were also posting, one of them saying how it was time for them to get off the bench and play ball, with another member who would say that they would foul the whole team, to which another member would reply, "Yep, every last one." This seemed to suggest that Welchworld's hitters weren't even done with their revenge campaign, even after killing 2 prominent hitters from the other side and avenging their friend Welch, who the gang had now been named after. They were keen to keep disrespecting their ops and stoking the beef. However, while Welchworld was feeling boisterous after allegedly taking out the people who had killed their most loved member, their other enemies were also getting active. According to tweets by Welchworld affiliates, about a week after the death of Neef, Tay would be arrested due to being suspected of numerous gun-related incidents, including the murders of Sess and Neef. However, it seemed that the police simply didn't have enough evidence to charge him for those murders at the time, and instead he would be charged with 2 attempted murders in relation to the other incidents, leading him to eventually beating those charges, instead receiving an 18-month sentence for aggravated unlawful use of a weapon. This would take him off the streets right when the war in the low end was getting scorching hot.
I had 2 attempts. I beat them in 2012.
Following Tay's arrest, Welchworld members would post to social media saying free him and paying respects, posting photos of Tay in jail and even creating free Tay shirts. Unfortunately, while Tay was incarcerated, the already hot war in Welchworld would get even hotter and even more complicated, as rivalries with numerous local gangs would intensify and affiliates would soon begin fighting amongst themselves. With Tay Savage, Welchworld's most feared bully, incarcerated, the members of the crew formerly known as So Icy would begin to bicker amongst themselves. One of these members would also post an angry message on Facebook accusing Welchworld-affiliated rap crew, the Buck 20 Brick Boys, of being fake for not paying for Tay's bond. Despite acting like they were making money, the post would even get a reply from a member of their ops, the Av, who would actually laugh at Tay's predicament, saying that she wished Tay would die in jail and that he would be the next one killed. However, while Welch World's beef with the Av was escalating, they were by no means the only ops in the...
Venmo is now available for 13 to 17-year-olds.
Having my own card is great. It gives me the freedom to explore all my passions. You can track your money and see how you're spending it.
My teen account lets me easily send money to my friends so we can pay each other back. Check it out.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here with a new Mint customer who says his name is Greg.
That's because my name is Greg.
Well, Greg, why'd you sign up for Mint?
Well, the buy 3 months, get 3 months free is a pretty great deal.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And the service gets great reviews.
Yeah, I don't know if it works in the North Pole, though.
I'm not Santa.
Okay, Greg. Where'd you park the reindeer?
I took a bus.
Guess Santa has to say that, huh?
Their other enemies included sets like nearby Lake Park, aka Suwoo, and the 051 Young Money set, with both gangs dissing Welch heavily throughout 2011. In February, following the murder of Sess, a member of Young Money would post a highly disrespectful image of Welch's death site onto his Facebook. And in the comments, a member of Welch World would reply, saying that Young Money wanted to be just like them, to which the Young Money member would respond with a direct threat, saying he would be dead in 3 days. Rapper Lil Mark from Young Money would also participate in the conversation dissing Welch World, as would a member of Lake Park, who were allegedly already clicked up with Young Money at the time, as was the Av, seemingly cool with both Young Money and Lake Park at this point. So Welch World had a whole collection of gang sets on their case at this time, all while their trigger-happy enforcer Tay was in jail. With that in mind, it was no surprise then that following back-to-back murders avenging Welch, soon Welch World would end up suffering another loss of their own. The month after Neef's murder on May the 11th, around 4 p.m, another beloved member of Welch World called Lil Tim, real name Timothy Wardlow, would be in Lake Park's neighborhood at the 3900 block of South Lake Park Avenue when he was shot and rushed to hospital. He would unfortunately pass away the next day, with some members from Welch World beginning to refer to their area now as Timtown or Dub Club, with Welch World Dub Club sometimes being referred to as WWDC from then on. There wouldn't be any reports of any suspects being captured immediately following the murder, but the police would state that several people were being questioned and a gun had been recovered. Already that same day, a member of Welch World would comment on the situation on his Facebook, vowing revenge, and surprisingly dissing the rapper Chopper the Goon from the Buck 20 Brick Boys, as well as saying, Buck 20. The following day, the same member would make more posts on Facebook addressing the death of Tim and saying that he was lost for words, and directly accusing Lake Park of killing him. Now, the story behind these posts and the events of May the 11th, 2011 would begin to unravel years later in 2017 as TTB Nez, a member of the Lake Park set, which would later be known as Suwoo and TTB or Train to Blow, would post on social media showing paperwork of Billionaire Black allegedly informing on a member of Lake Park called TTB Reese, real name Taureese McCullough, for the murder of Lil Tim. He would also claim that Billionaire Black, or Billy, had told on his own brother, who at the time went by the name Muscles, but would later be known as Millie Perks, for having a gun. This is likely the same gun that the police reported to have found after the murder of Lil Tim. Now, this would prompt even FBG Duck to comment on the matter, denying the allegations, saying that if they were true, the person would be in prison doing a long sentence.
My boy ain't telling on nobody, man. You know what I'm saying? Facts, and I'm not just saying that because he's my homie. I'm truly glad. Because y'all see, if folks was telling, I would have told y'all that he was telling. Oh, for them brave, folks ain't telling. Folks know I would have told y'all he was telling. That's just how 100 we is. We ain't even gonna front our move. Folks could have told you that he was telling. You feel? I'm just like that. You know, man. Y'all be. You gotta think about it. If bro was telling, be in jail for life. He'd be out right now, you know what I'm saying? Bro ain't go to church stand, bro ain't point no out, you know what I'm saying? And if y'all know, if y'all from the streets and y'all say y'all know that real, and y'all know that bro ain't really doing no telling, you know what I'm saying? Because if he was telling, he'll be in jail for what he did right now, you know what I'm saying? You good, but hey, y'all gonna think what y'all wanna think, you know what I'm saying? Y'all gonna think what y'all wanna think, you know what I'm saying? You feel me? Billy my homie. telling, we would have told y'all. Me and he would have told y'all that if he was telling. Because folks would have told me if he was telling. Folks ain't doing no telling. We don't condone no snitching over here. We don't do none of that shit.
However, records from the Illinois Department of Corrections show that Reese did indeed receive a 12-year sentence for second-degree murder in 2011. A few years after that, in 2020, F. from the Buck 20 Brick Boys would do a post on Facebook saying that Billy had himself admitted to him that he snitched on Reese and his brother, as well as accusing Billy of lying about numerous other things, such as Welsh World being black disciples and not gangster disciples. This post would start an extremely lengthy debate between Billy and members of Welsh World in the comment section. Billy would first list members of Welsh World who were black disciples, including Welch himself, as well as saying that their main sniper, presumably Tay Savage, is a vice lord. He would then accuse F. of being broke and jealous of his success, to which F. would reply by saying that Billy was just trying to deflect from the allegations. Billy would then ask F. to post the paperwork, to which Chopper Dagoon would join and post the video to TTB Nez's video, but Billy wouldn't accept this as proof. And later, Billy's brother would also join and deny that Billy had snitched on him. F. would keep arguing that Billy had indeed implicated his brother in his statement for having a gun, to which Billy would say that his brother had actually shot back after Tim had been killed, while F. brother, presumably Chopper the Goon, who the Welch World member had called a hoe after the events in 2011 had run. Eventually, also D. Gaines would join the conversation, telling both sides to move on and stop spreading bad energy, even stating that gangbanging had ruined Chicago's rap scene. Clearly, the beef in the streets was driving a wedge between these former friends, and the gang war was creating friction that would get in the way of almost anyone focusing on music. In 2022, Billy's brother would write an emotional message to Tim on his birthday, saying how he wished things had gone differently that day. Meanwhile, people on Reddit have posted numerous rumors that the hit on Tim was actually done by Lake Park and Young Money together, with there even being rumors that Fathead from Young Money, who would allegedly be killed later that year by 600, had been part of the hit squad that took out Tim. Surprisingly, it would turn out that Lil Tim was in fact a cousin of one of the Young Money members, and not just any member, but one of the most famous members, the rapper Driller. In 2014, Driller would even tweet about this fact, saying that it didn't matter because Tim was still an op. But the fact that the Av hadn't allegedly been part of the hit wouldn't stop them from participating in dissing Tim after his death. And after one of the Welch World members would post a tribute to Tim following his death, a member of the Av would comment, saying that Welsh World members were sad now, but didn't have any remorse after killing Sess and Neef, and now it was time for war. And wartime it indeed was, because while the Av had seemingly not retaliated immediately following the death of Sess and Neef, they were delighted with the infighting and external beefs that had caused their most hated enemies to lose one of their beloved members. And soon, the Av would be ready to make their own direct retaliation against Welch World for the murders of Sess and Neef. Retaliation that would sadly go wrong, leading to tragic consequences that left an innocent child dead.
This holiday season is gonna be busy. It's gonna be emotional. But it's gonna be worth it. With McCormick, it's gonna be great.
Years after the deaths of Sess and Neef, people close to them have typically denied that Tay or Welch World in general were behind both or either of these murders. For example, in 2013, another brother of Billionaire Black, called Richie Jerk, would exchange words with a member of the Av on Twitter, first saying, "We made Sess World," to which a member of the Av would reply, "And we made Welch World." But when Richie would say that they also made Neef Street, the Av member would deny this, saying they knew who really killed him. Similarly, years later, when the daughter of Sess, rapper Blasian Doll, was interviewed by No Jumper, she would deny the allegation that Tay had killed her mum.
But all right, so I'm sure you're aware of the reputation that your mom has because there's like multiple YouTube documentaries basically telling her story and
But
everything.
it's like they not telling it right.
What are they telling
That's
her?
not it. I feel like, well, I might as well just say the name since it's like he can cloud me. I feel like Tay, he really like
Taste that.
pushing it. He never did it. That's why I keep saying allegedly. You allegedly did it.
However, what we do know from very close sources is that after the murders in 2011, the Av very much considered Welch World to be responsible for both murders. Because what the Av didn't know at the time was that they actually had a police informant in their circle, a man named Keith Daniels, who was actually the older brother of Neef. According to a Chicago Sun-Times article about Keith Daniels, in May 2011, around the same time when Lil Tim was killed, Daniels was actually arrested for having a gun. Daniels was a drug dealer with many connections connections to the streets. And to avoid prison, he would begin to cooperate with the FBI, who were at the time focused on catching a gang called the Hobos. They were considered to be one of the most dangerous gangs in Chicago during the 2000s. In the process of informing the FBI about the Hobos, Daniels would also give police information about the AV. According to Daniels, the AV considered Welch World to be directly responsible for killing both Sess and Neef, and they wanted revenge. And they would try and get that revenge on the 3rd of August 2011. Around 5:30 p.m., 16-year-old Steve Barron, an alleged member of Welch World, who had appeared in videos with affiliates of the crew, was hanging at the Metcalf Park near Welch World's hood, a common hangout place for their members. This park itself actually has appeared prominently in numerous music videos from members of Welch World. He was on the basketball court playing with other people from the neighborhood, including a 13-year-old boy called Bebe, real name Darius Brown, a talented young player who, according to his family, lived and breathed basketball. According to Barron, he had just scored and his team was celebrating when a white car rolled down the street next to the basketball court and someone would roll down the window, opening fire, sending everyone on the court running. When the shooting stopped, Darius had been hit in his neck, and although people in the park tried their best to save his life, he would unfortunately pass away later in hospital. Years later, Darius's mother would give an interview to the BBC, recalling the events of that tragic day and reflecting on how much violence had gotten worse since her son had killed.
No, Darius has been shot, and I'm like, Darius has been shot. Like, it just did, the two didn't go together. I mean, like, he's a kid, 13, and then I'm thinking, okay, he's been shot, then I'm thinking maybe a BB gun or something like that. I just never imagined that it would be with a real gun, a real bullet, and that it would take his life. It's heartbreaking to see the violence day after day after day. And like I said, 2011, that was 5 years ago. The violence was not this rampant. And here we are 5 years later, and nothing has changed. In fact, it's gotten worse.
The friends of Darius, many of who were affiliated with Welch World, would begin calling themselves BBG, or Bebe Gang, in his honor. And even Tay would later recollect on how he used to often hang out in Metcalf Park, even though he didn't play basketball, just to watch Darius play.
I don't even like sports. I used to come up there and just watch Shorty. You feel me? Shorty got nothing to do with nothing. I think he was like 10, 11 at the time. You feel me? And they just shot, shot through the gate, shot. You gotta see the street, bro. The street here is a sidewalk, a gate, a grass, and they just shooting through that bitch and shot Shorty.
The very next day after Bebe's murder, Barron would post on Facebook, swearing to avenge his death. The police, on the other hand, didn't immediately have suspects, but with the help of their informant, Neef's brother, Keith Daniels, they would eventually find out that 3 members of the AV were allegedly behind the shooting. Sess's brother, Jamal Streeter, Sess's boyfriend, Aramis Beecham, and another man named Vito Richmond. The real target of the shooting had allegedly been Barron due to his close affiliation with Welch World. And Tay would later even respond to rumors in a 16-shot interview that he had been the target of the shooting, even though he was locked up at the time of the incident.
It looked like some people probably like tried to like kill you or something like that, and end up a baby end up dying or something like that.
Yeah, bro, I wasn't even out. That's when Sess brother and Baby Daddy, Baby Daddy, they supposed to shot him apart or something and killed the little boy, little raw ass little hooper, little baby, raw as hell, you feel me? But I wasn't even out. I was locked up.
Oh, so that was like a rumor, what they were saying?
Yeah, I went out.
A few days after the shooting, Daniels would hear the AV members talking about the events and passing around a gun that had allegedly been used in the shooting. With money given by the police and a hidden microphone, Daniels would actually then purchase that gun from a member of the AV and bait the suspects into giving a recorded confession. The police would also recover a car used in the shooting, and later, court documents from the trio's trial would later show that Welch World and the AV had engaged in a series of back-and-forth shootings following the death of Bebe, which is something that Barron would seemingly later refer to in a Facebook post, saying that when Bebe died, they turned up for him. Meanwhile, after a botched retaliation attempt that killed an innocent child, the AV was still waiting for their most hated rival, Tay Savage, to get back on the streets. And in the weeks following the death of Bebe, one of their members would even post a mugshot of Tay to their Facebook with a $ sign placed on his forehead, indicating that a price had been put on his head. And Tay would soon be out of prison, fresh home, with a price on his head and a serious reputation to live up to. But while Tay had been in jail, something very interesting had happened on the streets of Chicago, as in 2011, a young black disciple from O Block named Chief Keef would begin making waves with his music and videos about his life as a teenage gangster in Chicago's streets, with those videos first going viral locally and eventually all over the world. Within just a few months, the entire world would be watching the Chicago drill scene with interest, as the gang wars in Chicago would become a trending topic, and people all over the world would be tuning in to find out the latest drama on the city's gang-infested streets. And as the world began to learn about the deadly war in Welch World, soon too, the legend of Tay Savage would become a trending topic. On March the 11th, 2012, Chief Keef and Lil Reese will drop the music video for their song I Don't Like on D Gaines' channel, forever changing the Chicago rap scene. This song would be the official debut single from Chief Keef, and it would rack up over 30 million views in just over a year, peaking at number 73 on the Billboard Hot 100 singles charts, going platinum, and even receiving an all-star remix from Kanye West. But more than all of that, Chief Keef's explosive rise to fame would bring the world's eyes and ears to the Chicago streets and the gang conflicts behind the music. Not only did it make Chicago gangs and their members famous all around the world, but the budding music scene would create an opportunity for those young men stuck in the cycle of violence to get out and forge another path through music. Until this moment, it would be hard for many of the lost youth of Chicago to imagine a way out of the streets. But now, rapping was a viable option, and Chief Keef was the prime example of someone using their music to find fame and fortune and move out of America's most dangerous city. This was the new environment that Tay would return to after being locked up since early 2011. In February 2012, a Welch World member would post on his Facebook about how Tay was about to have his trial. And eventually, Tay would find himself back on the streets of the low end sometime in the latter half of 2012. Not that much is known about his activities from this time, but in September, he would make a Twitter account using the name Tay Badass that he went by at the time, giving some insights into what he was up to during this period. And despite the drill rap craze that had taken over the city, Tay wasn't initially looking to cash in by becoming a rapper.
What made you not interested in making music at that time period? You just wanted to be like one of the homies? You didn't think you had the star potential?
Rapping, not really. I mean, now you can say anything. As you can see, you can say anything, but it wasn't really that easy to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I got the thoughts, I got the
life experience.
Yeah, the life experience. So I should be able to, it's just kind of hard to put it in words and make sense and make you know what I'm saying?
Perhaps due to the stipulations of his release, he was seemingly working a legitimate job and tweeting about how slow the days go by when you're working. However, despite having to get an honest 9 to 5, Tay was still close to many of the key figures in the early drill scene, particularly on the BD side of the BD versus GD's gang war. And he can be seen in old photos from that time hanging out with guys like Lil Reese, who he's still close to, as well as fallen O-Block members T-Roy and Jay Munna. Tay was also seemingly on positive terms with Chicago rapper Lil Durk, and members of his OTF collective regularly retweeting them. And he was commonly speaking with the rapper and fellow low-ender Katie Got Bands from OBN, as well as being in contact with the sister of Tay 600, Mena Red, and sister of King Von, Kayla B. Tay was clearly incredibly social with many of the new legendary figures from the Chicago streets, and he would seemingly have a knack for bringing people together who you might not expect to see in the same place. Tay was also seemingly good friends with guys like THF Bezu and Mubu Crump, and in a now infamous video, they can all be seen in the car together, all of them holding some pretty serious weaponry, ready and armed for the ops.
There's a whole lot of fake going on. This ain't fake though. That motherfucker ain't fake, man.
That's how we ride.
With cyber attacks on the rise, protecting your data security is more important than ever. The Durbin-Marshall bill shifts billions in consumer spending to less secure payment networks. Don't let Durbin-Marshall steal your data. Tell your senators to oppose the Durbin-Marshall bill.
That ain't fake, man.
Crump would actually tweet about Bezu, saying that he talks a lot about Melly, but Tay had Bezu and Melly in the car together. And Tay would indeed allegedly bring together THF Bezu and 051 Melly, despite both Tay and Bezu being at war with Melly's Young Money set.
Oh, well, it's Melly. What? I ain't no shit about the band. Yeah. You know, this they, you know, they used to be on like 670s then. But they ain't really even know who, like, it's like, you know, the internet, not everybody know everybody's face, you know what I'm saying?
Despite being fresh home out of jail, he was still trigger-happy Tay, and many stories would circulate around this time about the shootouts that Tay had become involved in, with a lot of the violence stemming from the conflicting and confusing relationships Tay had across lines of the many Chicago gang wars. Tay would later open up about his relationship with Melly from 051, Young Money, in interviews explaining that at first he didn't know anything about Melly, but he would come to know him due to the fact that Melly had a relationship with Welch's baby mother, and that Welch World largely inherited their beef with Young Money from THF 46.
So, man, it's a crazy story, man. Look. So, man, at first, I didn't even know who Melly was, you feel me? But he stopped Welch's baby mama and shit, you feel me? So, you know, bro, them tell him, like, man, you know, Melly, because at first we wasn't even into Young Money. We kind of like inherit that beef through the six. Them the guys, so, you know, they ain't all right, so we on their ass type. But, so she stopped with him, you know, once it kind of like really started heating up between us.
After getting released from prison, however, Tay would hear rumors about Melly talking about him.
When I had came home, you feel me? Melly ass was just like talking, I guess, sending a lot of threats and stupid. Like a lot of them called me, yeah, Melly said this, Melly said that. Who the f is Melly? He from 051, out the damn, alright, man. So I'm studying this.
And according to Tay, one night at a club, he would end up running into Mota from Jaro City, who was his old cellmate.
I was locked up with Mota, you feel me? So I kind of had like a relationship with Mota.
Mota was a good friend of Melly, and the two would end up getting in a conversation about him.
When I come home, I had me 2 attempts come home, and man, so many steady calling to my ear. Melly saying this, Melly saying that, Melly saying that, catching Melly. Wow, I'm good. So, man, one day we in a club. I run to Mota. You feel me? We got Reese with us. Now we not knowing that this like hottie day or some shit. You feel me? We in deja vu. So, so we see Mota. So I locked over Mota. You feel me? So, you know, we rotate with him and shit. Man, who Reese here with? He here with us. So, you know, we on his ass, huh, man? Hey, you feel me? Here with us. So we kind of have words with him. I matter of fact, what Melly at anyway, man? I'm studying about this Melly, man. He with you. So folks around wiping down my check. Tell him I'm out here, though.
They both would also have other people with them, namely Lil Reese, who was with Tay, and FYBJ Main, who was with Mota.
So we go to the club and shit. So yeah, we had Reese with us that day.
In the club on phone number, I got them members with me. Do your homework on FYBJ Main having members with him, bro. It hit different. Long live Mota, BD Mota. It hit different when it's BD Mota I was with, bro. Nah, we in the club, bro. On phone number doing us. Mota in there, throwing up the trays. Throwing up the trays. Do your homework on throwing up the trays with one hand and cracking them with the other.
What does that mean?
That mean you BD, but you BDK, bro. It hit different, bro.
Okay.
According to J Main, Lil Reese had previously come through his hood shooting at them as a result of a family feud they were having, and J Main wanted revenge, ultimately confronting Reese in the club.
Now, Reese see me get scared. It hit different when you see Big Up BJ Main, Mr. It hit different in person. Why he scared, Sean? Cause he just came through the hood and la 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 la. So he already know what time it is, bro. It hit different. So on phone number, he see J Main. Mug now mug. Why y'all letting them run up on me, man? Why y'all letting them run up on me? Keep in mind, I don't know Tay Savage. From what I'm understanding, I'm guessing he is one of the other individuals who was there. I see red when I see you, so my eyes is focused on him. That's the only person I'm seeing. And he telling security, why y'all letting these walk up on me, man? I know these, man. I know them.
Lil Reese told that to security.
This is what Lil Reese telling security. Now he's backing up behind security. Remember I told you it's some stairs right here.
And then, as both crews were later leaving the club, they would see each other again, getting into a shootout, with J Main ducking under a hail of bullets and somebody shooting back, allegedly shooting Tay Savage in the nose.
After that, goddamn, we leave. They get on us. They fake it on the car. We get into it. Bang out. Alright. Skin my nose. They got what they got, whatever. What?
I hear, somebody get shot in their nose, bro. It hit different. We see somebody fall. We jump in car.
The next morning, Tay's uncle would call him, as he was a close friend with Melly's uncle, with both being from Tay's old hood. And the uncles were actually trying to organize a peace treaty between Welch World and Young Money, but Tay wouldn't go for that. However, he would develop a somewhat of a cordial relationship with 051 Melly.
So long story short, my uncles, I got some uncles that's tied in with his uncles. So like the next morning they called me like, man, pull up out the band. So I pull up, you got your mail the motor in the crib. Matter of fact, he asked me, I mean, we had a situation last night. Walk the bank, man, pull up on me, these hollers. So I pull up, you feel me? He got motor and your mail in the crib. Y'all need to squash that, watch the band. So I tell him, I got some respect for my uncle, you feel me? So I tell him, like, man, look, between me and him, it could be like, like cordial, you feel me? But, ain't no, it's blood. So ain't no squashing. So that's really what it was, you feel me? I stayed on 670 East End for so long. And his uncle's from there, so we'd be going in and out the crib and he'd be there. So we'd rotate with him. So his uncle, my uncle tied in, you feel me? So they like, yeah, that about the band, whoa. well, y'all should squash it. They was really trying to make us like squash the whole war. But I'm like, bro, you feel me? It's blood, and I can't. And then, we with the 6, and I ain't better do that. But I'm like, bro, me and him, like, we could be cordial, you feel me? Like, we could be cordial. Like, I see him, it ain't gotta be no shots fired or like that or whatever, and vice versa. So, like I say, I low-key stayed on the block where they used to hang. So I used to pull up, and Mel used to be out there with his uncles and he'd chop it up.
But the friction between Tay and 051 Young Money wasn't the only famous beef he had in Chicago during this time. Tay was clearly a big fan of the new drill wave, particularly Chief Keef's music, often tweeting his lyrics. However, Tay's personal relationship with Chief Keef's Glory Boys group and their members was a little more complicated, and there were several indications that there might have been some issues between these two crews. In one old screenshot from Tay's Instagram posted by Redditors, he was seemingly implying that he had beaten up and robbed GBE member Taydo of his chain and watch. Tay would later address these rumors in a 16-shot interview, admitting that there had been an altercation between the two, but denying ever robbing him.
Because I had seen something, they said, like, you had robbed him or something?
Yeah. Hell no. I ain't potato.
Was it like an altercation at all? Like, what?
It was an altercation. Got really blown out of proportion. Tato, I do.
Another rumor would also claim that Tay had beaten up Ball Out and robbed his chain. Again, Tay would comment on this rumor in his DJU interview, calling it a misunderstanding.
And they said something about robbing Ball Out?
Man, yeah, that was some
Allegedly?
Yeah, that was some allegedly. But it was really just a misunderstanding with that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And then, in yet another occasion, Tay's close friend Mubu Crump would tweet to GBE Capo, accusing him of dissing Welch and threatening to beat him up like they did Ball Out. However, there was seemingly never anything past these few skirmishes, and recently, Tay appeared to be hanging out with both Chief Keef and Taydo at a club together with Lil Reese. In many ways, Tay had become the connector between many of the fractured and warring gang sets all over Chicago. And these friendships, as well as the altercations and his reputation as a bully, made him a legendary figure in the Chicago drill scene before he had rapped a single lyric. However, it would be years before he made the decision to enter the rap scene himself.
Christmas Day at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on Nickelodeon.
And for the time being, he would continue to cultivate a serious reputation for himself in the streets rather than in the studio. Despite the rise of Chicago drill music in 2011 and 2012, Welch World's own rappers, the Buck 20 Brick Boys, were beginning to go their separate ways around this time, with Billionaire Black beginning to associate much more with the gangster disciples from 63rd like FBG Duck and Lil J. So at the time, Welch World would have relatively little representation in the city's now booming rap scene, with one artist called Lodi Bay, who would unfortunately not gain much popularity despite some undeniable talent, being one of their few new representatives in music at this time. But what is clear from the social media activities of Welch World members is that they were still heavily involved in the low-end gang war in this period, and the alliances that were formed before and during Tay's incarceration were still the same, with Welch World still being close allies with THF 46 and OBN, or the Oak Boy Nation, who was heavily allied with Welch World under their 0439 joint gang set, which combined both sets' main streets, 43rd and 39th. And they were still beefing with the same sets, including 051 Young Money, the Rock Boys, Lake Park, aka Suwoo or TTB, Lawless, and of course, the Av. And it seems that the war in the low end was still preoccupying Tay Savage's everyday activities. Another Tay, Tay 600, who himself has ties to Welch World, would later reminisce in his YouTube Storytime video about Tay Savage how Tay would even try and recruit members from his 600 set to Welch World, particularly one of their biggest savages, D Rose, who was made famous in the drill scene by Chief Keef, who would often shout out this young savage as one of his main shooters in the early songs.
It was disasserted from his hood because they was in two black. He pulled up to my crib and was looking for D Rose. He said, man, I'm BD. This man told me, he said, I ain't gonna lie, on Welch, I want him. I want Rose. Tell Rose I said, hit my line, man. Tell Rose I said, come for me. On BD, he said he got pipe, everything D Rose want. On BD, whatever Rose want, he got it for him. He gonna put Drake in his hand. He gonna put Drake, ARP, 30, whatever he want, whatever Rose want on BD, he got it for Rose. And I'm just looking like, man, what? On BD, back at the phone, boy, that Rose, our Snyder, he's sliding for us on King, baby. He ain't gonna be on the hill now. Here I'm talking for Rose. too, folks. On Biddy Parole, like other gangsters too, on King David, folks. This man come to my crib trying to recruit D-Rose, folks. It's just like, I'm just like, damn, on Biddy, you, that mean that much to you, folks? Like, you don't got enough savages, enough guns, enough this and that. You feel me? Like, you just want more artillery, more savages in your circle, more demons in your vicinity on BDE recruiting the gangsters.
Meanwhile, Welch World's ops, particularly the AV, were equally invested in the war, promising on Twitter to drop bodies before the end of 2012. It would appear in the face of this complicated war, Welch World's ops were also clicking up. With all of these gang sets going against Welch World, the AV, aka FTB or Free the Burr, the Rock Boys or Rock Nation, Lawless, aka Jamar World, aka the Booney Boys, 051 Young Money, and Lake Part, aka Suwu, aka TTB or Train to Blow, all being seemingly very close to each other, with three of them, the AV, the Rock Boys, and Lawless, being particularly close to each other.
Yep, the Jamar Boys beyond that, Young Savage, man, L's. You already know how we rock, man. That old bitch, man. OG5, man. Tomorrow, Booney Boy, bitch. You know how we rock. So that's where these boys, man. We out here, man. Squad, L's, no O's, man. Be the ass. L's. Like what? You know what I'm saying? Squad. BBG, man.
And then, in May 2013, something would happen that would arguably make all of these gangs even closer, as a beloved member would lose their life, and these gangs would formally build an alliance against their enemies. Tory Stewart, aka Snoop, not to be confused with another Snoop that we'll discuss later, was a college student majoring business who dreamed of getting into home renovation after graduation. However, Snoop also had past ties to the streets. He grew up in the Lawless Gardens and was part of the Lawless set, even honoring their dead members in his social media handles. In 2011, a 17-year-old Snoop and his friend were arrested during a traffic stop for having an automatic weapon and drugs packaged for sale. Unfortunately, right when he was seemingly about to turn his life around, tragedy would strike. When on the 20th of May 2013, at around 8:20 p.m., a freshly turned 20-year-old Snoop was driving in his car in the Lake Meadows neighborhood just north of Bronzeville, when somebody would open fire, shooting at his car several times, with one of the bullets reportedly hitting him in the head. Snoop was taken to hospital in critical condition, but would unfortunately be pronounced dead that night around 11:40 p.m. Snoop's family would later give an interview to a newspaper telling them how they used to frequent the park that Snoop was killed in front of, with this park being close to the Lawless Gardens where they used to live. After Snoop's death, members of Lawless, as well as Rock Boys and the AV, would pay their respects on social media. They would even release a song that Snoop had made before his death with a Young Money member by the name of Rilla. This would be later followed by other songs dedicated to Snoop, including his friend's Hard Knock song, Lil N-Word Snoop, and Young Savage featuring Booney Boy Mook's song, Bitch We Snoop, where they would diss their ops, including Welch World. Meanwhile, Welch World rapper Lodi Bay would repeatedly diss Snoop on Twitter and insinuate that Welch World had something to do with his murder. The Chicago police were also seemingly treating Snoop's death as connected to the war with Welch World, listing his homicide as a reference in their reports regarding the murder of Sets. This would later lead to some Redditors believing that Tay Savage himself might have killed Snoop, while others would rightfully challenge such claims, suggesting that Tay would have been arrested for the crime if there was genuine evidence proving his involvement. But in any case, Snoop's death took place around the time as three of Welch World's main ops, Lawless, the Rock Boys, and the AV, had allegedly decided to make their alliance more official. And so, sometime after Snoop's death, they began to refer to themselves as 757 on social media and in songs. With this name, the result of them using the last number of each set's main street to create a new name. The Rock Boys, who reside at 27th Street and State Street, Lawless, who reside at 35th Street and Rhodes Avenue, and the AV, who reside at 37th Street and Indiana. Take the last number of each of those streets, and you got 757. Soon, also Welch World would get word about this new 757 alliance. Interestingly, when Tay would finally become a rapper years later, he would actually post a story on his Instagram insinuating that he had created 757, adding yet more fire to the rumors that he may personally have been behind the death of Snoop. Whether or not these rumors are true, there's one thing that could not be denied, and that's the fact that Tay Savage was incredibly active in the streets during this period. However, unfortunately for him, his activities would be attracting the attention of the authorities, and they were just one step behind, waiting for him to to slip up. And when he did, even if they couldn't get him for murder, they would make sure that they would put him away for as long as possible. By summer 2013, something strange was happening in Welch World. Tweets would circulate suggesting that the streets had been quiet and that the only people out spinning the block for the gang was Tay Savage. Clearly, Tay was active in the streets around this time, but so were the police, who had likely been paying very close attention to Tay ever since his name first came up in relation to the murder of Sess 2 years earlier. At the end of July 2013, Tay would be suddenly taken into custody after being asked by his parole officer to come to his office.
Where were you at when you got arrested?
When I got arrested for that, my parole officer said he needed to see me, so I went to go holler at him, and they locked me up.
About a week after being taken into custody, on the 6th of August, Tay is revealed to be a suspect in an armed robbery and vehicular hijacking case that took place on the 16th of July. Tay and his co-defendant had allegedly approached 2 victims, telling them, "You know what this is," while displaying a handgun. They ordered the victims to the ground and went through their pockets, afterwards taking off in one of the victims' car, a 1985 Chevy Monte Carlo. One of the victims would later identify Tay in both a photo array and a physical lineup. Interestingly, this alleged robbery took place practically in the heart of Welch World, almost exactly in the middle of their supposed 40th to 43rd Street territory. Later, Tay would reveal during his Say Cheese interview that one of the victims in this case was in fact a brother of a known Chicago rapper, C. Honcho.
And the people who identified you was C. Honcho's brother? He was one of the guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so he was like a witness type.
Nah, he was a victim.
A victim? My bad, a victim.
Yeah, he pointed me out, saying that I poked him. The other guy that was with him was a regular civilian. He like a police officer.
However, Tay's case wouldn't be considered newsworthy until November. According to police reports, on the 4th of November, when Tay was in custody, detectives would indeed take him to be interviewed regarding the murder of Sess, which would prompt Tay to ask the detectives what had taken them so long to finally come and get him. Tay would deny his involvement in the murder of Sess, but he would tell detectives that one of the theories was that Sess and Neef had killed his friend Welch. Soon after, he would invoke his right for attorney, and the interrogation was terminated. 2 days after that interview, on the 6th of November 2013, the news would report that he would officially have been charged for the murder of Sess, and his mugshot would be circulated in Chicago news articles all about the murder. After this, Tay's cases would seemingly move slowly, during which time he would remain in jail, while his friends would post on social media demanding his release. However, in March 2014, local news would suddenly report that Tay would also be charged with the murder of Neef. Once again, a police report would reveal a movie-like situation leading up to this charge, with Tay telling the investigators who came to interview him, "Guess you're right when you said you'd come back for me." Tay was then asked to identify Neef from a photo, and he would tell them that he knew Neef, but was not friends with him. The detectives would also question Tay about his tattoos, one of them involving bullet cartridges and smoke, inferring that these tattoos were hinting towards his activities in the streets. Next, an interesting episode would occur, as Tay, or Dwayne, would try to deny that he was known by any nicknames, most likely knowing that one of the things that had since the beginning tied him to the murders was his nickname Tay, as several witnesses and other sources had since the beginning of the investigation named the suspect as Tay. Things would get uncomfortable for Tay when detectives would then talk to his mother, who would probably, without realizing how such a small detail could hurt him, tell the detectives that he was indeed known by the nickname Tay. The detectives would also show Tay videos from YouTube of him participating in gang-related activities and being armed with a handgun. As far as the detectives were concerned, they had their man, so they would press forward, with Tay opting to take these murder charges to a trial, a grueling process which he would elaborate on extensively in a Say Cheese interview. Tay would explain the order of the trials, with Sess's murder trial being first, lasting for less than a week.
Which trial was first, Sess or Neef?
They gave me Sess. I did Sess body first.
How many days does this trial last?
I think it was quick. It was like, I think a jury trial usually be like 7 days. I think mine was like 4 days, both of them.
Tay would explain how several witnesses pointed to him as the suspect, but other witnesses pointed also to other suspects, and ultimately the shooter was wearing a mask, which helped his case.
The reason why they charged me because they had several people pointing me out on both cases. Several people pointing me out, saying that I did it. That was with the victims. They was pointing me out, saying like, yeah, he did it. You know what I'm saying? And I beat it because whoever did it had on a mask.
Apparently the
What's up,
witnesses
y'all? How
were the
y'all
people
doing?
who were with Sess in the car at the
Making
time
some
of her
hair
murder.
oil
They
today.
all claimed to know that Tay did it. But ultimately, since the shooter who did the murder was wearing a mask, he could not be identified.
Them was the people that was with her that was saying I did it. Like, I think her sister, a few of her friends, all of them was saying they went to high school with me and everything, and they knew that I did it. You know what I'm saying? But like I say, how I beat it was because whoever did it had a mask. So you saying I did it, But how did you say I did it? Whoever did it had on the mask.
However, it's worth noting that in the original suspect description, the mask was seemingly never mentioned by witnesses. Tay would tell Say Cheese that when he got his not guilty verdict, he was smiling and felt like he had been blessed.
Man, I was smiling. That's a blessing. I was just smiling. I was excited, you know what I'm saying? It's a blessing, because like I say, with that, it can always go either way. If you're innocent, if you're guilty or whatever, it still can go either way. When you're in trial, because it's 12 people that's on the stand that know nothing about the law. You know what I'm saying? So it's just who tell the best story between the lawyer and the state.
Despite this miraculous not guilty result, things were far from done. And according to Tay's no jumper interview,
All right,
Tay
y'all. Today,
demanded
like
a
I said,
speedy
we
trial
took some
in the
hair
case of
oil.
Sess's murder. And when he
As you
beat
can
it,
see,
prosecutors then
I
decided
got
to
it
make
in
an
my hair
unusual
too.
move,
I
bringing
hope
the
everybody
robbery
having a
charges
good
next,
day. Merry
in the hopes that they
Christmas.
might have time to
If
find
you
more
don't like
evidence
how
ahead of the Neef murder trial.
natural to get off my stuff, I appreciate you for those who rocking with me.
So now I beat that murder. So now the states got they got the luxury to pick which cases. I'm fighting
You
two
know
cases.
what I mean? I really appreciate y'all coming here.
So
Y'all want to grow your hair long like mine? My hair go all the way down to my back.
And then, in a
This is
surprising
the
turn of
oil
events,
that you
one of Tay's
need,
baby
ladies and
mothers,
gentlemen.
and three of his Welch World
If you
associates would end up
suffer
getting tied
from
into the case, as they would be
psoriasis,
arrested and charged with witness
edges,
intimidation around
not
late
growing
November
in,
2014. According to court
receding
proceedings from their
line,
cases, they had made indirect threats to one of the victims
just
in Tay's
basically
carjacking
having a hard
case,
time
implying
growing your
that he would be
hair.
shot if he moved
This is
forward with his
exactly
plan to
what
act
you
as a
need
witness
right
in
here.
Tay's upcoming trial. They were also allegedly involved in shooting the victim's brother, who had fortunately survived with just a
I
handshot.
do everything
Later, they
in-house.
allegedly terrorized the victim's mother
So
and aunt
y'all
by
make sure
coming to
y'all
the
also
victim's
follow
property
me
armed with a gun.
on
As police arrived to the scene, they would find
make
and
sure y'all
arrest the
also
four
follow
defendants
me
and
on
recover a 9mm handgun. Following his friend's failed
YouTube.
attempts to violently silence a witness, not to mention the terrible effect that this new witness intimidation charge would have on his reputation at the upcoming trial, Tay would ultimately end up copping to a guilty plea in the robbery and carjacking case before things got any worse for him at trial. And Tay would later tell 16 Shot in an interview that he was confident at first, but when his friends caught those charges, he had to change his plan.
They locked my baby mama and three of the guys. So I really was like, Frank, we gonna beat this. But then some of the guys got locked up for tampering with the witness. Cause I think like both of them got shot. Both of my victims got shot, and they was trying to connect it to me. And so Frank just like, man, go on, cop out. There's too much going on. They got locked up and they get to running. It was just
All right.
The state would seemingly
Y'all
make
can
an example
actually
of Tay
order right
since
here
they couldn't get him
online
on
right
assessment,
now.
with the court dealing out a monster sentence of 20 years for this robbery, despite the prosecution dropping the original aggravating factor of using a firearm. However, due to Illinois' truth in sentencing law, Tay would only have to serve 50% of his sentence, which would still take an entire decade off his life. But despite this huge sentence, Tay claimed that this was all a tactical move in his no jumper interview, suggesting that he wanted to get that case out the way, otherwise the state might have had him waiting as many as 6 years just to face trial before he could then face his next trial for the Neef murder.
So I cop out to that. So I hurry him get that out the way, because I don't want to stall.
I'm gonna show y'all how my hair.
A few people saying you did that. They ain't had no homie on the robbery. They ain't had no. They said I robbed somebody, took their car. They ain't had nothing. They just had the two people they said I robbed pointing me out saying that I did. That's all they had. I guess that's enough.
And it smells good, y'all. Make sure y'all follow me. Hit that follow button up here. Tap that screen,
Even with a
y'all.
20-year sentence on him, Tay still had a murder case to beat. The Neef murder trial was next, and once again, there were witnesses who claimed that Tay was the shooter in a lineup.
Now the next one was Neef or Neff, and this happened in traffic.
Yeah.
And this one had witnesses too.
Yeah.
And all the witnesses claimed the guy had a mask on.
No, at first, some of them were saying that I did. They said my name, pointed me out of lineups.
But despite seemingly strong witness testimony against Tay, the case had appeared weak since the beginning.
Y'all got a question? What's up, Big P?
Recover rather basic information, such as Tay's Facebook account. Moreover, the gun recovered during Tay's robbery and carjacking case would not be a match for the gun used in the murder of Neef, closing yet another crucial lead that could have tied Tay to the murder. The police would also struggle to get the friends of Neef to help the investigation by testifying, and most importantly, once again, in the Neef murder,
problem with
the
hair
suspects
growth?
since the beginning were reported
Order
to
y'all
have been wearing
stuff right
ski
now,
masks,
y'all.
again making
Got you.
facial identification by witnesses practically impossible. Now that hits different when you
Thank
realize
you.
that Tay actually
Y'all
has a
need
tattoo
that hair
of two
growth.
masks
This is what
with
y'all
text
need.
saying, "Live now, die later." But hey, I'm sure that's just a coincidence. Anyway, despite the prosecution
Yeah, I just got on
first
right now.
attempting to claim that witnesses had recognized Tay as the assailant during a lineup, the fact was the shooter had concealed their identity with a mask. And it turned out that the witnesses only recognized Tay in general, and this is a contradiction with the fact that the shooter wore a mask, destroying the prosecution's argument completely.
you know, sometimes it'll be a police report. Now, you can't always go off the police report because the police report is just what the police story. The police ask, did you know anybody in line? Which the police do that sometimes. They'll ask you, like,
Hey,
anybody in line? You say him. You know what I'm saying? And then they,
you missed it yesterday, Big P. Big P.
I don't know. I just know I beat it.
They playing with.
The case would turn out to be much like the first one. There simply wasn't enough evidence to place Tay specifically at the scene beyond a reasonable doubt. And once again, Tay would walk away
That's it
with
right
yet
there,
another
Big
not
P.
guilty verdict. Thus,
They
despite
ain't
ending
ready,
up with
Big
20 years
P.
for robbery, Tay had beaten both of the murder charges
Oh, I
against
went
him,
to the
scoring a
beautician.
miraculous
Thank
result.
you.
And his lawyer would even victoriously
Oh.
post the result on their website, boasting how he had gotten his client 2 not guilty verdicts on
I'm
murder
coming
cases
after the
in less than an
holiday.
hour. Now, Tay had actually
This
employed
girl-
the services of one of the top 10 defense lawyers
girl
in the
named
state of
Jackie at the
Illinois,
hair
Frank J.
salon.
Himmel, later telling his
I
IG
want
Live
to. I
followers
didn't know
that
if
he
I
thanks
could
to
find
people
somebody
for
to do
beating
my
his
hair
murders,
in the
God
D.
and Frank Himmel.
So I was like, I'm gonna just come through with it, get it done like that.
Bitches and don't come to court.
But yeah,
God and Frank
I'm just filling up
Bulletproof defense did not come cheap.
the
And
bottles
Taylor later
right
opened
now.
up
I was
about murder
like,
cases costing as much as $40,000 to
Thank
defend
you.
against, and shouting out his lawyer Frank
I
for looking out for
appreciate
him
it.
and not demanding upfront payment. With
I'm
Tay
just
suggesting
filling
that
up
he
the
is
bottles
still
right
paying
now.
legal fees today, long after his release.
How much did you spend on a lawyer for all this?
So that's the thing. A murder, at least 30,000 for one murder. You know what I'm saying? But Frank was so locked in with me. You know, he was with me. You know, like when I first got locked up, you know, we was paying or whatever. But you know, people started getting locked up. People started dying and everything. But he was locked in with me, so I still owe him. When I get some paper, I still owe him.
Ultimately, though, no matter the cost, you can't put a
Yeah,
price on freedom.
right.
And Tay Savage had truly beaten the odds, getting not guilty verdicts on
How
2
you been?
separate murder charges, all
But
while
I'm-
numerous
listen.
people with connections to the incident.
I'm
swore
finna
they
show
knew
you
Tay was the
something,
killer.
Big P.
Unfortunately for them, however, whoever
When
that
I
master
tell
shooter
you,
was
girl,
that killed Sess and
it's
Neef
finna go
knew
up.
exactly how to cover their tracks perfectly. However,
Girl,
due to
I'm
the
finna show you.
sloppiness of the
I'm finna
armed
show you the
robbery case,
video
the
we made
Chicago police
yesterday.
had finally gotten Trigger Happy
For
Tay
my
off
hair
the
oil.
streets with a monster 20
This
years
right
sentence.
here.
And so from 2014 to 2022,
This that crack.
Tay would settle in to a long
This
stay
that
in prison,
crack right
counting
here.
down the days until he would be unleashed back onto the streets of Welch World with one of the most
This that crack
soul-dropping
right here.
backstories the Chicago drill scene
That's that
had
crack.
ever heard.
That hair growth oil, that Royal Herbal natural hair oil right there. I'm telling you. Hey, I went to the beauty salon.
Tay would
I
claim
went
that
to the
despite
beauty.
receiving
Look,
a
let me
20-year
just show you the
sentence for
video.
armed robbery, he would only really have to do 10, and ultimately
Girl.
ended up getting out even earlier after just 8 years and 9 months
Let me
with good
see.
behavior and after getting his GED.
That was 10 years. I had a few years in already. I actually got out early because I supposed to just be getting out like yesterday. I supposed to get out like yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, but with good time, I got my GED in jail and all
How
that.
long?
I had 20 at 50 for armed robbery.
Let me
They
see.
dropped it down to armed robbery with no firearm. They dropped the gun enhancement because it's a 21-year gun
I
enhancement.
gotta find the
So that's
other.
10 for 30. They
Oh
gave
shit.
me 20 at 50. Good
me
time,
see.
school and good time and all that. I knocked it down to like 8
Hold
years.
on, I'm gonna show
8
you.
years and 9 months.
So Tay would truly be able to beat the odds if he didn't get into
Hey y'all, look at this.
even having to deal
I'ma
with
show
a
y'all.
minimum term of 8 years and 9 months.
This
Tay
the
Savage
oil.
said,
That's the one that I'm making right now. Y'all see, that's my oil in her hand at the beauty salon. They putting it on my hair. This stuff works.
You want one too? Yeah. You want a big one or a little one? Want a big one like that one? Okay. I'll bring you. You guys are closed tomorrow.
Y'all see the...
No, we're not closed tomorrow. We're closed on Christmas Day and New Year's Eve.
That's the girl who did my hair yesterday.
Working tomorrow? We gotta work. Hydrate your locks.
Yeah, girl. I'm telling you. The owner of the shop got one.
Really shiny and nice.
And they work on all hair, all
I'm talking to TikTok. Hold on, let me show y'all. They said who I'm talking to. Hold on, y'all. What y'all say who I'm talking to? Y'all crazy as hell. I talk to myself too. Don't get it twisted. See, we on my main page. I'm a content creator, so I gotta have a couple. I'm just saying how y'all can buy y'all hair oil right now. This the same one. You know, my hair go all the way down here. My hair is long. So you guys can buy my hair oil. So when I went to go get my hair done yesterday, they was fighting over my hair oil. See, that's her putting it in my hair. Except it got my label on there. This one doesn't. Yeah, that's the same bottle. Well, it's not the same bottle, but it's the same formula in my hair. Yeah, so you can go ahead and buy it right now on TikTok. It look like I got a tattoo on my neck. Yeah. If you having problems with hair growth, how you say alopecia? This is what you need right here. This is what you need right here. Psoriasis. If you having trouble with your edges growing in, this is what you need. And it smells good. I didn't say it. I'm just creating what God gave me. So we're putting it in a small containers right now. Like I'm filling up these. Well, these are full, but I gotta put the other ingredients in here. I might even be doing a free giveaway, y'all. I gotta pray about it and see what God says. If He say yes, then that's what we're gonna do. But we have the gold. We have the gold containers, and we also have the amber brown containers, y'all. And I'm telling you, the stuff that I'm doing right now is already sold out. We sold out Black Friday. We sold out for Christmas. I'm making one more batch. If you don't get that batch before the 1st, that's it. That's it. Unless it start booming again. Because thank you. I don't live in the United States. I live in a whole nother country. I sleep here. I work here. But I don't live here. 6 months on, 6 months off. I don't even live in the United States. I'm leaving soon. But these right here, ooh, woohoo, that's crack. That's that crack right there. But so we're gonna put these right here. We're gonna put these up front. I'm gonna put them to the side though a little bit so y'all can still see me. What you say? Bro, I'm about to get dressed. Okay. Alright, I'ma call you in a minute, Big P. I'ma call you in a minute. Text me right now. Tell your bro them I said, hey, I'll be up there in a couple of days for sure. Y'all know I got the body butters. I got the body butters for sale. I got the candles for sale. Make sure y'all follow me up here. Hit that plus sign by my picture. The King Royalty brand on TikTok. Make sure y'all follow me. Turn on the post notifications right here. Man, stop fucking playing with me. Get the fuck up off my shit, report my shit. What the fuck is wrong with you? Stupid motherfucker. Get the fuck up off my shit, reporting shit. If you don't like what the fuck you see, get the fuck out. One thing about me, I keep it real. I'm a cool person, but don't come up on this bitch reporting my stuff. Get the fuck up out of here trying to fuck up my business. I bind and rebuke every demonic spirit in the name of Jesus and cast you to the pit of hell to where you don't have no authority here. Get up out of here. But like I said, for those who are respectful, I do sell candles that are homemade. I have 4 different categories. This one right here is a honey almond. I have some, I even sell them for wholesale as well too. I'm thinking about remaking some more body butter. I'm adding some new scents and fragrances to the collection because a lot of people have been requesting the ones that I discontinued. We got the mango. We have mango. Okay, for those who just coming in, these are my hair oils. This is the natural royal hair oil. Let me turn you this way so you can see too. Alright. Let me pull it back so y'all can see a bit. This is the 8 ounce. These two are the 2 ounces. This one is 25. This one you can use up to twice to 3 times a day, or you could limit yourself to 3 to 5 times a week, or you could actually use it as much as you want. This is kid friendly. If you're let me I don't have no pictures, but let me share a story with y'all, right? When I was a kid, I used to have sores in my head real bad. I don't even know what it was called, but I do recall my mother always taking me to the doctor in the hospital. So my mom always took me to the hospital, and I never understood why. Well, my mama used to put those chemicals in my hair, like the perms and stuff. I always had long hair. Like, you see, well, y'all can't see it right now, but my hair comes all the way down to here. But my mom, this recipe has been in my family for generations. Generations. My mom's not here, my granny not here, so I do it. Now, my sister, she doesn't make this, but she been in the hair care business since I was young. I was her gopher, or whatever you want to call it. I got in it mad late. I got into the beauty. I got into the beauty part of things during the pandemic. Like I am a licensed barber in the state of New York. But let's not go there. I am a licensed barber in the state of New York. I own my own clipper line. You know, I'm not on here for that purpose. I'm on here to help people that I just love helping people. You know what I'm saying? I got a ministry. This is a Christian-based business. A woman Christian-based business. Period. It ain't no in between. We don't disrespect here. If you disrespectful, you would get blocked. Simple. I'm here. I love to help people. I do. Let me see. Let me show y'all what I do. And let's turn on some Christmas music. Hold on. Let me turn on some Christmas music. I'll be right back. Let me see. Hold on, y'all. Here I come. Alright, so like I say, this is a Christian-based business. The name of my business is, I got several businesses, but this in particular one we're talking about is called Royal Abundance Beauty Co. We make soap. Let me show y'all. I got feminine hygienic soap for y'all too. So make sure y'all buy y'all soap. We gotta fill all these bottles up with ingredients. Make sure y'all follow me. If y'all got any questions, leave them down below in the comments. I got you. These are our different oils right here. That's for sale right now. You can actually order it online while you're here. I do this for y'all because I know how it is or difficult it could be, you know, to grow my hair, because I was once one of those people too. I was once one of those people too, y'all. Couldn't grow my hair for nothing. right, here we go.
You got to frank it up. Frank it up. Frank it up. Yeah. It's the perfect blend of flavor
Oh
and
no.
heat on everything. You know, there's Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen, Comet and
Cupid
and Zara and
listen.
the most famous reindeer.
Hey, Rudolph. Gotta make some labels. Christmas Eve, Santa your nose so bright. It's that rose gold color in an amber bottle.
This is an upgrade. Experience more with a $300 travel credit from Chase Sapphire Reserve. Have yourself
a merry Christmas.
Let your heart be light.
From now on,
our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself
a merry little Christmas.
Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles will be miles Here we are, as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends that are dear to us, gather near to us once more. Through the years, we all will be together. If the fates allow. Hang a shining star upon the highest mountain. And have yourself a merry little Christmas night.
Oh. That's weird.
serving steel that can easily hold all of your spices together without tipping over. Perfect for using in the kitchen. You can get it right now for free when you shop at Temu. Don't wait. Click on the video to grab yours.
day hunting for odds and not having second thoughts about shooting into large crowds of people just to catch their target. This senselessness and lack of hope was reflected in the comment that Lodi's sister gave to the news, saying that the shootings in Chicago don't even require a reason. And moving into 2017, disrespect would still fly between these groups of bitterly at war gangs. Friends of Neef, like Money Man, would still be dissing Welch in songs throughout 2017. In fact, during these violent years when Tay Savage was locked up, several rappers would emerge from 757 affiliated sets and build budding rap careers in the Chicago drill scene. People like Gunsmoke Gutter, 757 Wooski, 757 Mono, and 757 BA, just to name a few. And it wasn't just 757 going hard against Welch World in music, as even 051 Young Money, the other set that had a long-standing beef with Welch World, would use their music to disrespect Welch. With Driller's infamous Chicago anthem, 51 Dead Ops, featured a lyric where he warns his ops, don't get Welch. However, no matter how treacherous the beef between them and their rivals got in the music or the streets, Welch World's biggest target and threat, Tay Savage, remained behind bars and unable to influence things on the streets during these years. But Tay's beefs wouldn't just be active on the outside, because inside jail, despite being on his best behavior in the hopes to get an early release, Tay would still be getting into fights, with a minute-long scuffle later surfacing online in a jailhouse surveillance video that showed two people fighting on the upper deck. Fans would even see post-fight analysis from Tay and the man who was fighting in the form of jailhouse interviews on camera.
Mr. Timberlake, what happened upstairs? Why wouldn't you stop fighting when I told you to? Fight? Yeah. Okay, you want protective custody? Do you wish to press charges? You wish to press charges against Mr. Bird? On how they make Bird? Okay, that's great. Thank you, sir. Mr. Bird, why were you and the other inmate fighting? Just playing, you weren't fighting? Why didn't you separate when I gave you a bottle of verbal orders to separate? I didn't want to get loud. Okay. Do you wish to press charges? No. Do you want protective custody? No. Thank you very much, sir.
However, despite the negativity taking place both inside and outside the prison walls, it would seem that while in jail, Tay was still trying to keep a positive mindset. Tay would claim to have gained maturity in prison, claiming to have even tried to mentor other youngsters who were in there facing murder charges who he met inside.
Because you went on, you were like super young when you first started that bid, and it's like you're becoming a man as time goes by in there. You felt yourself growing up a lot.
Yeah, so. And I started seeing young guys come in, 16, 17, 18. They wild like I was. I tried to call them years. But you know, they trying to get they on what they on. But obviously, they trying to blow them like shit. Look, I beat those murders, you know what I'm saying? That's a blessing. But these guys that did it, you know what I'm saying? So, I be talking to the guys like that. It's like, whatever. That's crazy. But you know, it's like you stuck in there. So now, like,
Interestingly enough, one of the people Tay would cross paths with in prison was none other than infamous Chicago gangster and killer King Von. Tay claimed to have originally met King Von in prison around 2011, where they became good friends, and people began to compare them to each other from the very start.
Because people always compare you to Ron and say that, like, you know, they sort of see the similarities of you guys' personalities or your background.
you know what's crazy? They said that when I first met him. So, it was on Division 6 or something. The deck had went up or whatever. No, the deck didn't go up. Something happened. They moved me. They just moved me to the deck. They did a bomb game. They like, man, this is they think they behind me, you. His name Vaughn, like from the old. Yeah. So now I see him, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, all right, cool. I didn't want to say, but I'm like, get hype. So we get to chopping it up. Get a bomb game.
So you and Vaughn relationship came from being inside jail?
That's why I met him, man. Some of the guys knew him already, like from my area, but you know, Vaughn's a little younger than me. So some of the guys, like around his age, they knew Vaughn. So,
Tay would end up crossing paths with Von during his 20-year sentence, even claiming that Von had told him about his plans to become a rapper.
You were in there with King Von?
yeah, we never was out at the same time, but we always be like exchanging words, or I get out here, you know what I'm saying? We always keep communication.
And he gets out and blow up.
He said he was gonna do it though. He said
that?
Yeah. He said he's gonna do it. Raps was weak as hell when he first came out. In jail, weak as hell. He's finishing on the gallery. I'm like, bro, is you for real? Hey, yeah, oh, watch this. He did it.
Tay and Von would keep in touch, and Tay would even post a handwritten letter that Von had sent him while in jail, with Von even drawing the Welch World W next to the O block O, and writing,
Right in the state bill. What's her name? Maria something. Mark will come back to the county on some real thing. Whenever I touch and I come up and get right, I'll make sure you and everything like us straight. I don't know. It's only a few. And you better go ahead and start working out so I can merge it. I'll beat your ass. I've been whooping and I'm cocky. I'll knock you flat out. You my boy though, so I ain't even on that. But I love you, broski. Keep your head up, cause he's be quick to try to snake you. Pretty real. Loyalty is everything. Loose lips ain't shit from a stretch game. AKA El Chapo. AKA Von Savage. AKA King Von from the
ultimately, as the years went past, Tay would get closer and closer to his release date, with mugshots and prison pictures surfacing each year leading up to his release. In April 2020, Welch World members posted that Tay is coming home soon, and his May 2021 mugshot would be the final image of Tay to release before the man himself. Meanwhile,